On this Sunday night, remembering a maverick, a war hero, and a man who crossed party lines. Americans are paying tribute to John McCain's incredible life, but also the politics he represented, how his passing may mark the end of an era of compromise in Washington. Also tonight, another mass shooting in Florida, a state that's become ground zero for the gun control debate. This time, it's an esports gaming tournament in Jacksonville. The gunfire streamed live to thousands of fans watching online. And the 20-year-old golf superstar making Canadian history. This is The National. An outpouring of tributes and remembrance in the U.S. today at a level not often seen for members of Congress, but to many Americans, John McCain was so much more than a politician. He was a patriot of the highest order, representing a time before the angry, entrenched partisanship dividing Washington today. From Washington, D.C. to his home state of Arizona, flags are flying at half-mast in his honor. McCain died yesterday, just days before his 82nd birthday, after a battle with brain cancer. As Ellen Morrow tells us, there's an outpouring of respect for the politician who put country ahead of party.
A somber beauty marked the sky as the hearse carrying the body of John McCain arrived at an Arizona funeral home.
I'll be honest, I'm a Democrat, but I love him.
McCain was a rare breed in U.S. politics, a man able to bridge the partisan gap that so often paralyzes the Capitol. Now Republicans and Democrats alike are grappling with what the loss will mean.
I have admired him, like I said, my entire life, and it's tough to imagine a Senate without him.
He's an example to all of us, particularly in this moment, of what it means to be a statesman, not a politician.
Country over party, willing to work with either side to get things done, and not afraid to criticize, as he did in his last speech in the Senate.
We're getting nothing done, my friends. We're getting nothing done.
McCain was also willing to rise above hateful personal attacks, even against his opponents, including Barack Obama.
He's an Arab. He is not. No?
No, ma'am. No, ma'am. No, ma'am. He's a decent family man, citizen that I just happen to have disagreements with.
A far cry from the rhetoric of today.
He hit me.
Consider how Donald Trump targeted McCain during his campaign.
He's a war hero because he was captured. I like people that weren't captured, okay? I hate to tell you.
Yesterday, Trump tweeted condolences to McCain's family, though he made no mention of McCain's decades-long service to his country. But just down the street from Capitol Hill, Americans were mourning the type of politics McCain symbolized.
This is a very great country, and for us not to be able to work together, put aside some of our differences, I know it's all politics, and just get something done for the people of this country. And I think he was integral in that.
John McCain will lie in state on Capitol Hill before his funeral, which he said he did not want President Trump to attend. McCain also requested that Barack Obama and George W. Bush, the two men who stymied his presidential ambitions, give eulogies for him. One last act of bringing together both ends of the political spectrum. Ellen Morrow, CBC News, Washington.
As Ellen mentioned there, John McCain did spend decades serving his country in various ways, and he lived much of his life, the achievements, the failures, in front of the cameras. So here's a look back at his defining moments, this time in his own words.
I've been in my country's service since I was 17 years old. I neither know nor want any other life, for I can find no greater honor than service.
My country saved me, and I cannot forget it. And I will fight for her as long as I draw breath, so help me God.
Lieutenant Commander John McCain.
And I found myself falling toward the middle of a small lake in the city of Hanoi with two broken arms, a broken leg, and an angry crowd waiting to greet me. I was dumped in a dark cell and left to die. I didn't feel so tough anymore.
Guys, feeling great, feeling great.
I'd just like to mention, I'm the only one on this stage that 4 years ago said this is a failed policy in Iraq. It's not going to work. It's got to be changed.
Tonight, I have a privilege given few Americans, the privilege of accepting our party's nomination for President of the United States. Senator Obama and I have had and argued our differences, and he has prevailed. Whatever our differences, we are fellow Americans. And please believe me when I say, no association has ever meant more to me than that. Our healthcare insurance system is a mess. We all know it. Those who support Obamacare and those who oppose it. Something has to be done. I'm going home for a while to treat my illness. I have every intention of returning here and giving many of you cause to regret all the nice things you said about me. And I hope to impress on you again that it is an honor to serve the American people in your company.
McCain had been planning his own funeral over the past year. There will be services both in the nation's capital and his home state of Arizona. The longtime senator will then be laid to rest in the U.S. Naval Academy Cemetery in Maryland. Still ahead tonight on The National, we shift gears to bring you the uplifting story of Brooke Henderson, how she made history with a huge victory on the links. Plus, the Pope faces thousands of protesters in Ireland and begs for forgiveness. Margaret Evans takes us there in this week's Dispatch. But first, a shocking and deadly mass shooting in Florida caught on live stream. It happened at an e-sport tournament packed with players. 3 people are dead now, including the gunman. And a warning, you may find the audio you're about to hear disturbing. Renee Filippone has the latest.
The moment the shooter started firing was streamed live to people watching the video game tournament online. You can't see him, but you can hear the shots. For the people there, it was chaos.
Everyone running for their lives. People were being trampled. People were hiding. Everybody was screaming in fear.
The video gaming bar was filled with players from across the U.S., part of an esports league. They had gathered to play Madden 19, an immensely popular NFL video game.
It was just supposed to be a nice weekend. I was just supposed to have a nice weekend, enjoy playing Madden against some people I've played against online.
The shooter was a competitor at the tournament. People in the gaming community say he lost a match before opening fire.
It's a simple game. It's nothing crazy. You play it every day at home or wherever you play it at. It's really unfortunate.
9 people were injured, 3 died, including the gunman who took his own life.
We believe the suspect to be 24-year-old David Katz from Baltimore, Maryland. And the FBI is assisting us with that leg of the investigation in Baltimore.
The FBI is now searching his home in Maryland to get a better sense of what motivated Katz.
So we know that the suspect used at least one handgun to commit this act, and we are working again with our partners at ATF on that aspect of the investigation.
Gamer Drini Joka was part of the tournament and was injured. On Twitter, he posted, "I am literally so lucky the bullet hit my thumb, and I will never take anything for granted ever again. Life can be cut short in a second." Electronic Arts, the game maker who sanctioned this event, tweeted, "This is a horrible situation, and our deepest sympathies go out to all involved."
Today, this evening, and tonight, Jacksonville is mourning. We have faced an occurrence that is all too common and will require us to continue to do the hard work of public safety to make sure that people are safe.
Any sense of safety was shaken today, not just for the gamers, but the community, with yet another example of deadly gun violence. Renee Filippone, CBC News, Vancouver.
Now, Florida is no stranger to mass shootings. With a number of deadly incidents over the last couple of years, the state has become a battleground of intense debate over what to do about gun control.
Oh my God, people are getting shot.
On June 12, 2016, a lone gunman killed 49 people and wounded 53 others at the Pulse gay nightclub in Orlando. At the time, it was the worst mass shooting in American history.
We're angry that this is happening. We're angry that this keeps happening and nobody's doing anything about it.
Months later, a mass shooting at the Fort Lauderdale Hollywood International Airport killed 5 and wounded 6 others.
The state of Florida, the citizens of Florida, law enforcement in this state will not tolerate evil acts.
And just this past February, a former student opened fire at Marjorie Stoneman Douglas High School in Parkland. 17 students and staff members were killed and 17 others were injured.
How many more folks have to die? When is enough going to be enough?
It was this attack that finally produced some tangible change to existing gun laws in the state.
We're children. You guys are the adults. You need to take some action and play a role. Work together, come over your politics, and get something done.
A movement led by student survivors prompted state legislators to raise the minimum age for buying rifles in Florida from 18 to 21, a measure the NRA has called unconstitutional and is fighting in court. That legislation also established waiting periods and background checks for gun buyers, but it did not ban assault rifles, the weapon of choice in many mass shootings. The Parkland students haven't stopped there. While today's shooting in Jacksonville was taking place, some were marching against gun violence in front of Smith & Wesson, an American manufacturer of firearms. And some are planning a sit-in this week, a protest of U.S. senators who have accepted money from the NRA. To this country now, and some happier news where a young Canadian made history today. Golfer Brooke Henderson helped end a Canadian drought that had gone on for more than 4 decades, and she did it with a swing that was as steady as her nerves. Greg Ross has her story.
The wait is over for Canadian fans. And so too for 20-year-old Brooke Henderson.
Truly amazing, dream come true.
Henderson has 6 other LPGA wins, but none compared to this. She becomes only the 2nd Canadian woman to win the national championship and the first to hoist the trophy in 45 years.
There's tons of history. I was happy that I was able to, break that long stretch without a Canadian winning on the LPGA Tour, and just to look at this trophy and read some of the names on it, it's really incredible to be able to know that my name's going to be added there as well.
Henderson came into the week ranked 14th in the world, but she was the #1 draw for fans in Regina, attracting huge galleries wanting to soak in every shot of this historic day.
For the first time ever, I was really able to embrace the crowd and not really, I was really confident playing in front of them.
Henderson says the win was a family affair.
Just left a bit. Okay, that's fine, but the wind is right to left, so.
By her side the entire way, her best friend and caddy of 4 years, who also happens to be her sister, Brittany Henderson, and somewhere among those fans were Henderson's mother and father, who greeted her on the 18th green for a champagne shower.
I think just all the hard work that my family has put into this. Dad and my coach, my mom, my best supporter, and my sister, who is also my caddy. This was a big dream and a big goal for all of us, and I think it's just a cumulative effort of all of us that gave me the chance to be able to lift that.
In the end, all of the stars seemed to align for Henderson, who fired a sizzling final round 7 under 65 en route to a 4-shot victory.
I definitely feel like it was meant to be this week. Everything just kind of seemed to fall my way.
And Greg Ross joins me now. Okay, Greg, what's next for Brooke Henderson?
Well, Rosie, her celebration was short-lived today. Henderson went straight from the golf course to the airport, where she boarded a plane to Calgary. She's taking part in a pre-scheduled panel discussion at a charity golf tournament there tomorrow. She's also scheduled to go from there to Portland later in the week for the Portland Classic, where she's a 2-time champion. And if the 3rd time's the charm, she wins there again, she will tie Canadian golf icon Sandra Post for the most career LPGA Tour victories by a Canadian at 8. Henderson currently has 7 wins, and for her efforts today, she picked up nearly $450,000 Canadian. Rosie?
I'd say that's a pretty good day. Thanks, Craig. Appreciate it.
No problem.
And with today's big win, Brooke Henderson becomes just the 4th Canadian since 1950 to win an LPGA or PGA Tour event on home soil. The only other woman to do it was Jocelyne Bourassa in 1973 at the first ever Canadian Women's Open, known then as La Canadienne Golf Championship in Montreal. On the men's side, Pat Fletcher won the Men's Canadian Open in 1954 in Vancouver. Then in 1999, Mike Weir won the Air Canada Championship in Surrey, BC. And like Henderson's LPGA victory today, Weir's win ended a 45-year lull since a Canadian last won a PGA tournament in this country. We're keeping an eye on several developing stories tonight, including the dozens of Winnipeg residents left homeless after a fire ripped through an apartment complex. Residents watched in shock as flames devoured their homes early this morning. A visitor in one of the units pulled the fire alarm and knocked on doors to wake up residents. Officials don't know what sparked the blaze. No one was hurt.
Canada, you know I love you so much.
Sean Majumder says his 22 minutes are up. He made that announcement last night at a festival in Newfoundland. The CBC confirmed his departure today. Still ahead on The National, the Pope begs forgiveness for sexual abuses at the hands of his clergy. But for protesters greeting him in Ireland, that wasn't nearly enough. Margaret Evans takes us there in our dispatch. Plus, a terrible 1-2 punch in BC. This year's fire season is officially the second worst in BC history after last year. How the province is grappling with this year's crisis while still dealing with the fallout from last summer. And celebrating one of pop's greatest hits that's turning 50 today.
Hey Jude, don't make it bad. Take a sad song and make it better.
He's pretty good. I refuse to sing. Hear more in our moment of the day later.
Then you can start to make it better.
In Ireland today, baby shoes were used as a potent symbol of the innocent children preyed upon by Catholic priests.
Abusos sexuales.
The Pope made a rare visit to the country to ask for forgiveness for new revelations of abuse by U.S. clergy over the decades, but protesters were unimpressed.
I think it was an empty apology, and it's not good enough. And what we want is criminal prosecutions.
Today, feelings of betrayal are common as the Irish come to grips with the worst of the church's transgressions. Tonight, Margaret Evans gives them a voice in our dispatch from Dublin.
Dublin, Sean McDermott Street, and a building with a past that casts a long shadow. A sense of malice still seems to grow here. It was one of the notorious Magdalene laundries, workhouses for so-called fallen women. The Catholic nuns who ran them turned jailers, and the inmates pawns for a church playing a game of broken faith.
I don't think I can remember any Magdalene woman with their head up. Every one of them had their heads to the ground.
Maureen Sullivan was sent to work in one of the laundries after telling a nun at school that she was being raped by her stepfather. Instead of helping her, she says, the church protected her abuser and lied to her mother when she was sent away.
And I know she didn't know. I know that for a fact. My mother didn't know. She was heartbroken. The nun told her I'd be educated, that I'd get a very good education down there. And she even went to buy me a pencil case before I left.
The pencil case was the first thing they took away from her. She was 12. At 16, she escaped and fled to London for a time, starting to tell her story only now.
It was very difficult to live in this country and bring that out about the church. But it's getting easier. I think the people are starting to see now that we're telling the truth.
Another Dublin street, this one filled with the Catholic faithful, waiting for a glimpse of the man who will ride down it on a white chariot, albeit one with wheels and its own camera crew. It is a long wait for some, but worth it for so many others. Gladness in their hearts, along with hope that Pope Francis can heal a church discredited in the eyes of so many.
This is about a systemic, willful, deliberate process of cover-up by intent.
Truth, justice, love.
Colm O'Gorman is an abuse survivor and activist, raped repeatedly by his parish priest, he says, at the age of 14. His response to the Pope's visit has been to organize a vigil in memory of victims and survivors. The sins of the Church are finally being called what they are, he says, crimes. Now they must be dealt with as such.
The Vatican continues to perpetrate this wound. And it's a bigger wound than just the one that's felt by people like me who were raped or abused as children. It's a much deeper wound than that.
A seniors drop-in centre attached to the Our Lady of Lourdes Church, not far from the old Magdalene Laundry. The welcome mat this week was well and truly out for Pope Francis. Most of the women here grew up in an era when it was simply unthinkable to question an all-powerful Roman Catholic Church.
I don't at my age.
Bridie Byrne is 100 years old.
I believe in the Pope and what I was brought up to believe. I can't do anything else, can I?
But the current of anger running through the room, directed at the church leaders of today, is testament to the change sweeping Ireland.
Look at the amount of people, human beings, that have been damaged by so-called priests. They're not priests.
Joan McAdam remembers the last time a pope came to call on Ireland, John Paul II, back in 1979. More than 1 million people came to hear him preach. She was one of them.
When he came out onto the stage at the altar, there was a silence. I've never experienced anything like it. It was magic. Magic.
Francis gets no such tribute. No matter how long abuses may have been coursing through the church, it falls on his watch to deal with it.
Apologise on behalf of all those dirty, filthy, evil men who will burn in hell. Because if you believe in God, you believe in hell.
And the path to a secular state has been underway since well before the abuse scandals started to surface. Divorce was legalized in 1995, and in recent years, referendums have backed both gay marriage and rolling back a ban on abortions. Ireland is changing fast, but can the church survive if it doesn't change with it? John Gerard Acton is a 24-year-old seminary student, keeping the lights burning at the St. Patrick's College Chapel in Maynooth, near Dublin. It is home to the last Catholic seminary in Ireland, north and south, and Acton is one of just 25 students preparing for the priesthood. Compare that to 1979, when Pope John Paul II visited the college on that legendary trip, greeted in this chapel by hundreds of excited candidates for the priesthood. Their cheers have long since faded along with their numbers, but Acton insists he's not daunted by his choices or the future of his church.
It's going to be a new type of church, we have to acknowledge that. But I'm excited for the future.
Rector Tomas Surlis admits he sometimes feels like the captain of a sinking ship.
We can't deny that the process of secularization, for example, in Ireland and in Western Europe, has been rapid and it has been significant.
But so too have been the crimes of the church, allowed to grow in dark corners for far too long. Margaret Evans, CBC News, Dublin.
Still ahead on The National, BC faces the second worst fire season in provincial history. How this year's fires are affecting those still trying to rebuild after last year. Stay with us. The pictures tell the story. This is now British Columbia's second worst wildfire season. 945,000 hectares of forest has burned, just short of last year, the worst on record. As BC Premier John Horgan said last week, officials are concerned this may be the new normal. As the CBC's Briar Stewart reports, with nearly 600 fires still burning, crews face a serious battle to keep up.
3 weeks after residents were first ordered out, fires still burn near Telegraph Creek. It's here where nearly 30 homes were lost, part of what's become BC's second worst fire season on record.
So certainly there have been a lot of people affected this year in terms of evacuation alerts and orders. But the main difference of this year is that it's very spread out across the entire province.
This one here is about 300 yards from Barry and Donna's driveway going to their house.
Resources are stretched, and in some cases, tensions are rising.
You guys had a chance to try and put it out and didn't.
There will definitely be a time where this gets reviewed and there will be a post-mortem on everything that's happened.
Yesterday, a few dozen residents protested after heavy equipment was withdrawn from Burns Lake.
And another truckload of hope pulling out of Burns Lake.
Officials say the equipment was pulled out because it wasn't suitable. More than 1,400 properties in BC are under evacuation order, and even those far from the fire zone are feeling the effects. Smoke from the fires has drifted all the way to the Maritimes, while in Vancouver, the air quality advisory that was briefly lifted is now back in place. And the Okanagan beaches that are normally full are now eerily quiet.
Nobody wants to go to the beach because it's so smoky, and business kind of blows right now.
For this boat rental company, business is down by about 50% this month.
A lot of people, I find their lungs have been bothered by the smoke and they've been getting headaches, so they've been doing more indoor activities and don't want to be at the beach.
Which is why not too many are complaining about the cooler weather and rain that's forecast for much of the province. They're hoping it will clear out the smoke and help crews get a handle on what's become another devastating fire season. Briar Stewart, CBC News, Vancouver.
Now, people who lost their homes in last year's fire are still dealing with the aftermath. Many were forced to move into hotels. And as Anita Bath found out, even now, 12 months later, some are still there.
Esther Spy has been living in this hotel room for more than a year.
Can't go nowhere. You just go around one circle to the bathroom, back, sit down, watch TV.
Last summer, wildfire destroyed everything she owned on the Ashcroft Reserve. As she waits for a new home, the isolation is getting to her. She hitchhikes most days just to leave the hotel.
I want to be home. I want to be on my reserve. And I want to have freedom for my pets.
But it's not unusual for Canadian wildfire victims to wait this long.
Can you imagine being in a hotel a year later?
Insurance often falls short of what's needed.
If the house cost $300,000 to build, insurance came in at probably a third of that. So we had to look for financing to fill that gap.
Slowly, houses are going up. Spy will get the first one finished.
I even have a garage. I have to buy a car now so I can park it in there. Either that or I'm just going to make a girl cave out of it.
Down the road, it's slow moving for the owners of this cattle farm. Knowing their property was doomed, they spent 3 days straight trying to save the animals before flames arrived. 1 year later, and there's still no room for cattle that used to live at this part of the farm. As you can see, strides have been made with construction coming along, but the rebuild still has a long way to go. Across the street, an eerie scene at the Boston Flats trailer park. Remnants of destroyed homes poke through the green grass. Residents returned to look a few weeks back. It's given them perspective and words of wisdom for this year's victims.
Just have patience and everything will come.
Still, it's not easy after all this time.
Big lump comes in your throat and I don't want to go back there. It's just way too many bad memories now.
Memories that are triggered this year as they watch as more homes are destroyed in new wildfires. Anita Bath, CBC News, Ashcroft.
Still ahead on The National, it's a comparison that's often made, Donald Trump and Richard Nixon. On a week when federal prosecutors tighten their investigation around the president's men, we revisit Terence McKenna's documentary looking at the parallel presidents.
In terms of temperament, there is a volcanic center to both men. The ranting, the anger, the paranoid concerns, the hatred.
The walls are closing in on him. I've predicted that for quite some time.
Democrats are savoring a week of misfortune for Donald Trump. 4 more of the president's confidants are now poised to be used against him in Robert Mueller's special investigation. Most recent, Alan Weisselberg, chief financial officer of the Trump Organization, was granted immunity. That could mean big trouble for Trump.
Because Mr. Weisselberg knows where all the money's come from, where it's gone, and for what purpose.
Trump also lost the loyalty of media baron and National Enquirer publisher David Pecker, a longtime ally and protector. Former Trump lawyer, as you know, Michael Cohen, pleaded guilty to 8 financial crimes, and his lawyer says he's ready to talk. And Paul Manafort, Trump's former campaign chair, was convicted on 8 charges of his own. All of this has striking parallels with the previous White House under siege. Richard Nixon's fate was sealed when his friends and then his party finally turned against him. The CBC's Terrence McKenna talked to key Watergate players and scholars to see what history teaches us now. Here's another look at what he found.
It's a very dishonest media, those people right up there with all the cameras.
How does Donald Trump follow the Nixon playbook? Consider this press conference from October 1973 in the East Room of the White House.
I have never heard or seen such outrageous, vicious, distorted reporting in 27 years of public life.
What is it about the television coverage of you in these past weeks and months that has so aroused your anger?
Don't get the impression that you arouse my anger. One can only be angry with those he respects.
And here is Donald Trump last January in the very same room.
Tomorrow they will say, Donald Trump rants and raves at the press. I'm not ranting and raving. I'm just telling you, you're dishonest people. But, I'm not ranting and raving.
Here is President Nixon speaking to Secretary of State Henry Kissinger in 1972. Echoed by Donald Trump's infamous tweet, "The fake news media is not my enemy, it is the enemy of the American people."
There's the president.
Nixon resigned from the presidency in the face of obstruction of justice charges. And now Trump is being investigated on the same alleged crime. The Watergate scandal that brought Nixon down began with a break-in at the Democratic National Committee headquarters in 1972. The burglars were caught and tied to the Nixon campaign. The key question came at Senate hearings from Republican Howard Baker.
What did the president know, and when did he know it?
Then came the news that Nixon had secretly taped all the White House sessions in which he methodically planned a cover-up with his close advisors, including paying off the burglars to buy their silence.
Yes, I appreciate that.
In the Oscar-winning movie All the President's Men, Robert Redford and Dustin Hoffman play Washington Post reporters Bob Woodward and Carl Bernstein, who won the Pulitzer Prize for their Watergate coverage. Today, Woodward is writing a book about Donald Trump.
Nixon famously said on those tapes, "It's not the crime that gets you, it's the cover-up." Was he right?
Nixon was wrong. It was the crime of Watergate. It was the war against the system of justice in the United States. This was the clear obstruction of justice, and we have those thousands of hours of tapes which really define Watergate and Nixon and the extent of the crimes.
God damn it, I'm never going to discuss this son of a bitching Watergate thing again. Never, 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 never.
The Nixon presidency had at its center an unstable man.
Historian Tim Naftali was the first independent custodian of the tapes as director of the Nixon Presidential Library.
In terms of temperament, there is a volcanic center to both men. The ranting, the anger, the paranoid concerns, the hatred. With Donald Trump, we have the tweets. We have the tweets that are often just rants. This similarity leads to the next big question, I think, which is, will Donald Trump engage in Nixonian activities?
In private, Nixon wanted Teamsters to go out and physically attack protesters. Whereas Trump expressed the same attitude in public.
If you see somebody getting ready to throw a tomato, knock the crap out of them, would you? Seriously.
An attempt is being made.
Connecticut Senator Lowell Weicker became famous as a moderate Republican on the Watergate Committee who eventually turned against Richard Nixon.
That the scope of the committee's mandate goes far beyond Watergate.
Today, he is waiting to see evidence before coming to any judgment about Donald Trump.
I started out as a Richard Nixon lover, and it was only after I had facts in hand that I turned the other way. So I'm not willing to go ahead and impose a different set of standards on Donald Trump, and I just don't have those facts.
But Weicker is ready to judge arguments that have been put forward by Mr. Trump's lawyers in the Russia collusion investigation, such as the notion that the president could not commit obstruction of justice by exercising powers granted to him under the U.S. Constitution. That echoes an old Nixon argument.
Well, when the president does it, that means that it is not illegal.
Nonsense. It's nonsense. I thought it was nonsense then, nonsense now. The lawyers don't speak for the Constitution of the United States or the people of this country. No man in this nation is above the law.
When you look at what's gone on with the FBI and with the Justice Department, people are very, very angry.
Donald Trump regularly attacks the FBI and the special counsel investigation. Trump said to the New York Times that former FBI Director Robert Mueller would be acting improperly if he starts looking into the finances of the Trump Organization. Now, of course, Trump is suggesting that Mueller would cross a red line if he starts looking at the family finances and his tax returns.
Well, that's too bad for him. I mean, I think Mueller has every right to do that.
I think Mueller has to go there, and it would not be like him or like federal prosecutors to kind of say, oh, we're not going to look in that corner. They look in every corner.
That the work will continue.
Of course, there is widespread speculation that Trump will just fire Robert Mueller.
6 FBI agents present.
Echoing the famous Saturday Night Massacre when Nixon fired Watergate Special Prosecutor Archibald Cox, along with the Attorney General and his deputy.
The country tonight is in the midst of what may be the most serious constitutional crisis in its history.
The political impact of the Saturday Night Massacre was giant because there was a sense of, hey, Nixon's firing the person who's investigating him. That led to the impeachment inquiry.
Oh, I think if Trump fired Bob Mueller, he'd be in deep you-know-what.
Is that what happened with Nixon?
Yeah. By the time the House of Representatives met to discuss the matter of impeachment, his goose was already cooked.
All those in favor, please signify.
By all accounts, there was much more bipartisanship in the Nixon era. In the end, the evidence against the president caused many congressmen in his own party to vote for his impeachment.
Mr. Cohen.
Could that happen today?
The Republicans run the House, the Senate, and the White House. The best thing that we could have happen is in 2018 to have the Democrats take control of one House. It doesn't have to be 2. One's fine.
Oh, my goodness. If the Democrats take one of the houses of Congress, let alone both of them, one can anticipate public hearings. I'm not saying that you can anticipate impeachment. It's a tough political process that will require a lot of Republican support for it to happen. But you'll have public hearings. It's going to be on television and on the web all the time. And that would have an eroding effect on President Trump's support and his legitimacy, just as it did for Richard Nixon.
What, in your view, finally kind of turned Nixon's allies against him?
Great question. Nixon, from the Watergate burglary to the resignation was 2 years, 2 months, and it was continual drip, drip, drip of tapes, evidence, testimony, memoirs, people doing television interviews. It was a very, it was a giant barrage of evidence.
If Nixon had burned those White House tapes, do you think he would have survived?
He definitely would have survived. You need, in an investigation like this, a path to proof. Those tapes were proof. If you don't have that path, it's hard.
Even if the Democrats take control of the House of Representatives in the midterm elections this year, and if the House then votes for impeachment, it would still take a 2/3 vote in the Senate to actually remove Trump from office. With today's Republican Party, that possibility seems quite remote.
There's the president waving goodbye.
But considering how fast Nixon's support from his own party melted, it's not impossible. For The National, I'm Terrence McKenna in Washington.
Next on The National, you know the tune.
Hey Jude, don't make it bad.
Hey Jude is 50 years old today. I'm sorry if that makes you feel old. We asked some Canadians to belt out their favorite lines to celebrate. Sing along if you want in our moment next. But first, the theater world is mourning the loss of a prolific playwright tonight. Neil Simon hit the heights of popularity by making people laugh.
Last night you promised you'd never leave me.
It's just till 5:30. Just until 5:30. Corey, if it's a good marriage, it'll last until 5:30.
Major stars and major box office marked Neil Simon's career in the 1960s and 70s. As his Broadway hits went Hollywood again and again. Simon started as a writer in TV's golden age, then drew on his tortured relationship with his writer brother to create Come Blow Your Horn, the first of so many hit plays. For 7 months in 1967, he had 4 smash productions running on Broadway.
Mr. Cornell, I have tried to be neighborly.
But Simon also prospered in regional theater because his shows, often with small casts, were cheap to produce and broadly appealing.
Bubbly, frothy, wonderful for the summer.
Simon said his humor was universal and traveled around the world.
And so that play is as popular as in Japan as it is in Russia, because you find out that people in some ways are very similar.
Am I gonna be a writer unless I suffer? Actually, I'd give up writing if I could see a naked girl while I was eating ice cream.
But critics often dismissed him as more joker than dramatist.
Stinker's the best I can do, and vulgar and offensive and patronizing.
But as years passed, Simon's work gained sophistication and earned greater respect, including a Pulitzer Prize in 1991 for Lost in Yonkers.
Neil Simon, producer.
His honors include 4 Tony Awards and a multitude of stars shone brighter by delivering the words he wrote. Neil Simon died today at age 91. Here are some of the other stories we're following this week on The National. The man accused of a mass shooting in Fredericton will make his first court appearance tomorrow. 48-year-old Matthew Vincent Raymond faces 4 counts of first-degree murder. Police allege Raymond shot his victims with a long gun from the window of his apartment. 2 police officers and 2 civilians died. Raymond himself was seriously wounded by police.
Ontario, the day you've been waiting for is finally here. We're bringing back a buck of beer to Ontario. Here, here.
Ontario's Buck a Beer program is expected to take effect tomorrow. Premier Doug Ford introduced legislation that would lower the minimum price for a can of beer by 25 cents to $1. It's not mandatory, though, for brewers to drop their price, and several breweries have said they won't. On Friday, fans will be paying their respects to the Queen of Soul, Aretha Franklin, when she will be laid to rest in her hometown of Detroit. Former President Bill Clinton and legendary Motown musician Smokey Robinson are expected to speak at the funeral. And among the artists slated to perform, Stevie Wonder, Faith Hill, and Jennifer Hudson. The 76-year-old died of pancreatic cancer earlier this month. Well, 50 years ago today, the Beatles released Hey Jude. And despite being halfway to 100, the song isn't showing its age. People young and old alike still know the lyrics. So we asked some Canadians to serenade us for Hey Jude's birthday, and that is our moment of the day.
Hey Jude, don't make it bad. Remember to let her into your heart, then you can start to make it better.
Paul McCartney wrote Hey Jude on a drive out to see John Lennon's ex-wife and son. They divorced in May of 1968, but Cynthia Lennon and McCartney remained friends. The song was originally titled Hey Jules and was written to comfort son Julian.
At any time you feel the pain, hey Jude, refrain.
Although McCartney wrote the song for Lennon's son, Lennon himself viewed it as a song written for him, a blessing of sorts from McCartney on his relationship with Yoko Ono.
Then you can start to make it better.
Hey Jude spent 9 weeks as #1 in the U.S., the longest of any Beatles single, and has sold nearly 8 million copies.
Na 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 na.
I don't think that was right at the end there at all. I can't believe how many people would stop on a street in Toronto and sing in front of a TV camera. You couldn't pay me to do that, so I'm not going to do it now. That's the National for this Sunday, August 26th. Thanks for watching. Good night, everyone.